Hello friends! Today I wanted to come on and talk to you about how recovery is a lot like a road trip. And it's a lot like a road trip in a wide variety of ways. And this is an analogy that I referred to a lot in my own recovery journey, and that helped me a lot to keep pushing forward and keep moving towards the place that I eventually got to, where I was and am completely and utterly eating disorder free. So, recovery's like a road trip in that, as I've just alluded to, it is a journey. There is a pathway, a process, and viewing it in that light, viewing it as something which I was on with a destination that I was working towards, and holding a really clear vision in my head of what that destination meant to me was important. Now, was this always easy? No. There were times, very many times in recovery, where I felt like I'd completely lost contact and lost comprehension of what that destination was. But it still was a useful thing for me and a helpful thing to regularly get myself to come back to that vision, that place that I wanted to get really clear with myself about what that was and what that looked like. And often in those times where it felt really hard to connect with it, and maybe some of those whys, some of the things I wanted to do and the places I wanted to go and the things I wanted to connect with or have or experience or see, sometimes those felt really far away, and actually the thing that I could universally hold on to was that I wanted that destination to be completely free of an eating disorder. So sometimes it was about coming back to that. It's also like a road trip because there are ups and downs and big fluctuations in the experience of the journey. There's times where it feels really smooth sailing, where it feels like, oh yeah, I know where I'm going, I know what I'm doing, this is feeling like it's happening. And there are also times where it was really lumpy and bumpy and chaotic and messy and like trudging through thick treacle, basically. And I feel like in terms of a road trip, this is that. This is the fact that sometimes the road is smooth and clearly laid out ahead of you, and other times it is not. Other times the road is unclear. Other times the surface is not smooth. And as I say, this is a lot like recovery. There's times where you have a real sense of picking up momentum and moving purposefully towards the place you want to get to. And there's other times where you feel like you are having to put in a lot more effort to be making that same progress forwards in your journey. Recovery is also like a road trip in that there are times where you have to pull over. Times where you've taken the wrong path, times where you've got a bit off track, times where the map hasn't actually been leading you to where you wanted to go, so you've got to recalibrate and reassess that map that you're using. And in the context of a road trip, this is you pulling over, getting clear on where you're at, holding again that place that you want to be, and really looking at how you can progressively close the gap between where you're at and where you want to be. Another thing that I think I first heard from Mel Robbins, which fits very much into this analogy of recovery as a road trip, is that there is a reason why in your car the windscreen is a lot bigger than the rearview mirror. And that's because you're going forwards. Yes, that rearview mirror is there. And in the context of recovery, this means that you use that rearview mirror. You look backwards to reflect on the things that are going well, to gather up learning from those, but also to reflect at the things that maybe haven't been going so well, to reflect on the slip-ups and the setbacks, to gather up learning from those too, so that you can then move forwards with more information than you had previously. You can actually move forward from slip-ups and setbacks in a stronger place than you were before them, because you have new information, new evidence to put you in a more powerful position as you head off again. But as I say, the windscreen is substantially bigger, because actually, whilst yes, we can learn by looking backwards, we're not going backwards, we're going forwards. And in recovery, it's so important to make sure that you have got your eyes set on closing the gap between where you are and where you want to be. This is super relevant in recovery because by its very nature, the eating disorder mindset often tries to drive and center thinking on looking backwards, on looking at, oh, but this isn't that bad because of X, Y, Z, or, oh, but this is better than it was. Eating disorder mindset often wants you to be focused on that rearview mirror in a detrimental and an unhelpful way. And so actually in recovery, it's really important that you shift that focus and that you look through the windscreen and that you get honest with yourself about the distance that you have still to cover, that you look at where you are and where you want to be, and you focus your energy and your attention and your actions on progressively and proactively closing that gap. Another reason I love this analogy is because it's so important in recovery to remember that you are the driver. You are the one with the access to the accelerator and the brake. You are the one who has your hands on the steering wheel. And whilst, no, this doesn't mean that you have to do this journey alone, it does mean that you have to step up and take responsibility for your place at that driving seat. That is your power. You are the driver. And part of you taking responsibility is putting the passengers in your vehicle that you want and need there, leaning into their support, listening to their perspective, and letting those people in to help and support you. On this note as well, around passenger, I feel there is such a powerful metaphor to be taken from the fact that on this journey, the eating disorder mindset is, for the duration of the journey, going to be some form of passenger too. And what I mean by this is very often when we think about recovery, when we sit in that almost kind of fantasizing state about what we're going to do and how it's going to be, we can forget that actually what you have to do is drag your eating disorder kicking and screaming along the journey with you. That actually you can't be at the start line and eject eating disorder at that point and then begin. What you have to do is recognize that the eating disorder mindset is going to be a passenger on this journey, and that it's only by beginning the journey that you will progressively and consistently start to shift the position of that passenger. And what I mean by that is when you start, eating disorder is practically co-inhabiting the driving seat with you. That's what it can feel like. It's right there. It's like shimmied up. You're here with your steering wheel and it's like, oh my goodness. And it can feel like separating out you and eating disorder is almost impossible. And actually what you have to do is, rather than wait at that starting line for your eating disorder to vacate the vehicle, you have to just bring your focus to that windscreen, to that place you want to get to. And you have to put your foot on the accelerator and you have to start. And eating disorder is going to be right there, making a lot of suggestions. And it's going to feel at times like you really are struggling to separate out recovering you from eating disorder. But by putting your foot on the accelerator with time and consistency, eating disorder begins to take its place in passenger seat. And what that means is there's just a little bit of distance. It's still there. It's still loud. It's still making lots of suggestions and making it very well known when it's not impressed by how you are doing your journey and where you are heading and what that looks like and what that feels like. And it's making all number of suggestions for what you should be doing instead and which path you should be taking. And it's loud, but you are in driving seat and it is in passenger seat. And by you continuing to keep your foot on the accelerator and your hands on that steering wheel and keep your focus on the windscreen, looking out at the place that you are wanting to get to and moving each and every now towards that place, you will continue to be shifting the position of the eating disorder in your vehicle. And what will start to happen is that rather than passenger seat, eating disorder will take its seat in the back. And you'll begin to notice that that ability to separate out yourself from eating disorder is getting better and better. You find it easier to recognize where disordered behaviors are showing up. And that while, yes, eating disorder is still in the back seat, making its opinion known, it is still showering you with suggestions, particularly ones around the idea of when you're there yet. Eating disorder is like the constant thing of, rather than are we there yet, it says we're there, we're there, we're there. And as you're making your progress along this journey, eating disorder from passenger seat, from back seat, is consistently telling you, oh, we're there, we've done it, marvelous, excellent, let's just stop here, let's just pull over, get out, let's just camp up here for a while. And it's your job to keep yourself firmly in the driving seat, to keep your eyes out and through that windscreen, and to hear eating disorder in the passenger seat, in the back seat, making its suggestions, telling you you're there. And actually, that rather than turning around and engaging in it, you say to yourself, oh, yeah, that's eating disorder speaking. Oh, there's eating disorder again. And you keep your foot on that accelerator and you keep pushing progressively and proactively towards that place that you want to get to. And there will be times when it is firmly in the back seat. And actually, as you continue to push forwards with your recovery journey, you will progressively shift eating disorder into the boot. And it's there. You can still hear the bits of suggestions, but they're kind of muffled at this point. And actually what you have to do is proactively snuffle out the things that make boot eating disorder annoyed and angry. There will be times in your journey where you feel like eating disorder's been, metaphorically, in the back seat for a while. And then suddenly it feels like it's right leaning forwards, right this close to your ear. And you think, oh, why? What's going on? And of course you can reflect and think, have I welcomed it back there? Has anything I have done encouraged it to think it can get back into passenger seat and even back into driving seat? And you can do that reflection. And of course, anything that you become aware of in that, you get very proactive in doing the opposite action to. But there's also times in the journey where eating disorder does just get loud. And you have to go, okay, yeah, it's feeling really close right now, but it's practicing those skills that you have gotten really good at along the journey. Of asking yourself, who's talking there? And you, yeah, that's eating disorder. And keeping your foot on that accelerator and your hands on that steering wheel and your eyes set firmly through that windscreen on the destination that you want to get to, that place where you are free. And you keep moving in that direction. And as I say, it is by doing that that you are able to shift eating disorder back till it is in that boot. And you're on your journey. And you are snuffling things out. You're looking proactively at the ways in which you can make it noisy so that you can really know what you've still got to do to completely eject it. And the wonderful thing is that the you who is on this journey and who is continuing and is refusing to listen to the we're there, and is refusing to engage in those suggestions, you will get to your destination. You will get to the place where you are free. And that is the place where eating disorder ejects out the back of your vehicle. And there's no suggestions. There's not even a muffle. You are free. Your head is quiet. You are at peace again. Your brain is rewired. Your body is fully nutritionally rehabilitated and you are free. And this is why, for all sorts of reasons, I feel like the recovery is a road trip analogy is so valuable. It's something that in my own journey I lent into, and it provided me a lot of encouragement and support in various different ways. So I hope that you found this video helpful. As I always say with this channel, I'm sharing from my own lived experience. And so please take what helps and leave the rest. And just know that I am so grateful to each and every one of you for your love and your support of this channel. So thank you, really, truly, thank you. And on that note, wherever you are, whatever you are doing, I hope that you have a wonderful day. And I look forward to speaking to you in the next one.